Producers, listen up. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can stop overcomplicating your beats. This is a problem that a lot of producers have, especially as they start their music production journey. You can kind of get in the process of just filling your beats with everything and not really having any clear direction. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some free game to help you get over that hump. The first reason that producers or you might be overcomplicating your beats is because you're producing alone. You don't have any recording artists around you to give you guidance or to help you know how to structure a beat where they have enough room to get their voice out so they can write to the beat, so they can create the song that they're trying to create. Because as we're producing alone, sometimes we can get lost in our thoughts and lost in how we're feeling and the creativity, where we can just add so many sounds that it's just nowhere for the artist to write. So you can overcomplicate your beats by just cramming it with so many sounds. You don't really know where you're landing musically, and that's going to cause you to be confused, frustrated, and kind of be in a space where you're thinking like, why do my beats lack so much, clarity and professionalism and polish, that I'm just kind of all over the place. So I don't really know what to do at this point. So one thing you want to do is, try to get an acapella, try to get a friend or a family member or uncle, whoever, somebody who might do music, work on music, who can freestyle or sing. So that way, you know how to leave space on your beats. So in the future, while you're crafting your beats, that you need to leave this open lane. So you're not overcomplicating it, because you know that less is more. And you're going to tend to come to that conclusion whenever you actually have a recording artist or someone who knows how to make music actually on your beat. And another thing along with that point, we really get in a space in this music production world where we think about selling beats. But at least from my personal experience, especially at the very beginning, even hearing somebody's voice on my beat just got me super excited. And I would hear certain points in the beat that I felt like, oh, I'm adding way too many sounds at this point, and it kind of feels like it's clashing with the artist's voice. And I wouldn't have really started to hear that if I, felt like I had to sell my beats even at the very, very beginning. So, when you first get started, definitely try to not produce alone if you can. And also, if you're in a space where you don't have someone who writes songs or anything like that, don't be afraid to give out a free beat, so that way you can at least hear what an artist sounds like whenever they're actually on your beat, so you have more direction on how you want to format things. Another reason that you're overcomplicating your beats is that you're trying to outdo other producers. You're hearing the 808s of Metro, you're hearing the hi-hats of Southside, you're hearing the chords of, let's say, Scott Storch, and you're like, okay, I want to add the chords of Scott Storch, I want to do this, I want to add the 808s of Metro, but you're kind of not really piecing things together in a coherent way that's more so geared towards a recording artist. You're doing all these things to outdo other producers. All right, so the next reason that you're overcomplicating your beats is that you're actually producing for other producers as opposed for recording artists. And this is going to happen whenever you find yourself on like different Discords or message boards or Reddits, and you're trying to outdo, you're trying to beat somebody out. There's a difference between making beats for beat battles and making beats for recording artists, and if you're in the process of just constantly just trying to, okay, at this part I want to do the snare roll, it goes tat 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 tat, and then I want to go here, then I want to change the chords, then I want to drop it. If you're doing all that thinking, you are going to start to find yourself in a position where you're overcomplicating your beats. Less is more, and there's a saying that there's sophistication in simplicity. But if you have all these different thoughts in your head of how you want to impress other producers, because you got the hardest 808, you got the craziest hi-hat roll, you got the craziest snares, it's going to be very difficult for you to lock in and focus and create your own system of making beats. You're kind of imitating other people, not necessarily in a good way where you're trying to develop your own sound or style. You're doing it because you want to beat that person. It's more like a let me take things so I can show off, as opposed to let me take this so I can develop a new skill set. I want to listen to Southside's hi-hats because I want to learn how to be better at doing hi-hats. That's a different thought process than I want to learn how to do hi-hats because I want to be better than that guy in the Discord battle or the Reddit battle. And in that way of thinking, you're not really clarifying what your end goal is. So you're kind of just flying blind, and you could just find yourself all over the place and not really have a clear focus on what you're trying to do. So the way that you fix that problem when it comes to overcomplicating your beats is, to lock in on what your ultimate goal is and to connect that to different steps and strategies to get there. Like I said, if you want to get better at your kick drum pattern, listen to Metro's kick drum patterns, go back to the greats, listen to Jay Dilla's kick drum patterns, and then try to find a way to incorporate that in your productions. Find the little things you like about the greats, the producers that you aspire to be like, and then take those tactics and techniques that they do and then emulate it and incorporate it into your music production process. So on the surface, it might sound like I'm saying the same thing, but I want to make the distinction in saying that you're looking at the other producers in a sense of guidance and creating a strategy to improve yourself. So that way, whenever it's time for you to cook up, you're not overthinking. You know how to play these chords to get that vibe of Scott Storch. At this part of the beat that you want the beat to drop out, and you want to create tension like Wheezy Out of Here, So those are some different things that you could do to help you not overcomplicate your beat and to stay focused as to what your ultimate goal is, as opposed to, trying to battle other producers. And that's going to help you simplify your thought process, because what you're ultimately going to do is create your own system of getting to the end goal of the beat making process. And once again, like I've said in other videos, that's part of the reason why you see so many producers cooking up beats so super fast, is because they've done the same thing over and over again, created their own process that gets them to the end goal. And that's going to come from you studying and practicing, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and growing. So be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're still in the process of overcomplicating your beats. That's something we all go through, then we finally get past that hump. And the third reason why you're overcomplicating your beats is because you haven't developed your own sound yet. And this is kind of touching on the other point, but I'm going to really drill it home here. So when you haven't really developed your sound yet, you don't quite know what your identity is as a music producer. What are people going to come to me for when it comes to buying beats or just using beats for their different musical projects? So when it comes to developing your own sound, really it's typically right in front of you what type of sound that you're ultimately going to end up at. But it can be a little bit complicated because it can feel like a competition between what people want and what you like creating. And that's a battle that a lot of producers go through. I like making these style of beats, but everybody wants trap. I like making Afro beats, but everybody wants boom bap. So those are the things that some producers find themselves, those kind of conundrums, and that can have you overcomplicating your sound because you don't really know who you are, what you stand for, what path you're going down. So when it comes to developing your sound, it's really about finding out the kind of music that you like listening to, finding out the type of music that you like creating, and then honing in on those artists who like using those type of beats. And it could be difficult. I'm a producer, I'm out here in Atlanta, but I primarily like making hip hop, soul, and R&B type of beats, but the market demands more trap, more club bangers. So that's a style that I had to develop over time just by practice. So I have my primary sound, and then I have the secondary sound that the market demands and the market wants. So I would say first start by developing your primary sound, the style of beats that you enjoy making. And then from there, after you got that down, you're pretty solid. You got artists who come to you for those style of beats. From there, you can create a secondary sound, that style of beats that is more popular, maybe in the mainstream, maybe in your local area. And then you can use those two skill sets to help you in your music production journeys, because you can't always do what you want to do and what you feel like doing. Sometimes you do have to do what the market demands, or maybe what a particular artist wants to do. You can't just say, well, I don't know how to do it, I only make these type of beats. At least having both options is really going to help you in the process, not only musically, but also as far as business. A lot of my placements when it comes to sync, TV, and film come from pop beats, and you know, I'm not really a person who considers themselves a pop producer, but it's something that I had to do for, you know, particular projects. And one thing that you'll actually find is that once you develop your primary sound, the DNA of your primary sound is going to be connected to the DNA of your secondary sound. So if you do enjoy making trap or boom bap, what you're going to notice is parts of that are going to color the secondary sound that you create. So let's just say the market or particular artist wants you to create Afrobeat or, you know, trap. You're going to start to notice that those elements are going to be inside your style of trap or Afro beats, and it's going to be pretty cool. People are going to be like, this is a little unique. You have the sensibilities of what they're looking for, but there's a little something extra in there that they, you know, enjoy, that's a little bit off kilter, more unique than maybe other people who primarily make that sounds. And once you get those three things down, you know, it's going to be much easier to have a clear goal, a clear focus to how to not overcomplicate your beats. But you just have to be consistent, you have to be persistent, you have to not give up. We all run into those humps in the process that feel like, man, it just seems pointless and we just want to throw it all away. But don't. Please stay the course, keep going, keep learning, keep collaborating with other producers, and I promise you're going to grow as a music producer. So hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also go to DesmondASounds.com to get free FL Studio Patcher plugins, free guides, free a whole bunch of stuff. Also make sure you join my Discord down there in the description. I'll be glad to welcome you to the family. So my name is Desmond A, and I'll be back with more great videos. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Desmond A.